The Love, Life, and Lose Weight podcast will teach you the art and science of changing your habits around food. If you know what to do, but can't figure out why you're just not doing it, this is the right podcast for you. I'm your host, Advanced Certified Weight and Life Coach, Heather Beardsley. I've helped hundreds of women just like you figure out how to think and eat like a normal eater, lose weight, and love life on the journey to goal weight and beyond. Hey, welcome to episode 12. It's hard to believe. The first season is quickly coming to an end. This episode is about how to sell yourself on losing weight. It sounds interesting, right? Because if you're listening to the podcast, you would just assume that, you're already all sold on weight loss. But in my experience with clients, that's not always the case. Human beings are interesting in that they often want two different things at the same time. And in fact, I know when results are inconsistent, that's usually what's happening. It's that my client both wants to lose weight and they also want something else that's in the way, that gets in the way of losing weight. So you could say they're conflicted or they want two different opposing things. And they have what coaches call cognitive dissonance, which is wanting two opposing things at the same time. So this is what is in the way of selling yourself on weight loss. And what's in the way is usually pretty quiet, or when you find yourself thinking in ways that oppose weight loss, you don't really notice consciously what you're doing. You just get frustrated with your actions and after they're done. So selling yourself on weight loss mainly has to do with value. Like we can sort of understand the value logically of losing weight. We can think of, a list of 10 things why it makes sense and why we want it. But what's underneath really any kind of lack of all in on selling yourself with weight loss has to do with split value, where if we do go all in with weight loss, we're worried about giving up other things we value that comes along with not losing weight. This is where, you can see the value of weight loss, but your fear of failure or your fear of giving up overeating, which you might think benefits you sometimes, is bigger than the value you see of losing all your weight. When you really think about, let's say that you could have a winning ticket or like a lottery ticket to like win the weight loss lottery, or you had like a magic genie come out of a bottle. And the genie said to you, okay, all you have to do is make a wish to lose weight and you could be at your goal weight right now. There might be some hesitation on your part to ask the wish be granted, because what are you going to give up? And this is where you need your journal, make some notes. So here's your first question. What are you afraid you're going to have to give up if you lose all your weight and you go all in on your weight loss? Go ahead and mull that over after the podcast is over. You might be asking yourself, what's going to happen if I fail? A lot of times my clients are really worried about being sort of open with the weight loss goal, and then they're worried about other people's perception, including their own, of their performance. So this is like a fear of their performance being judged as even worse than where they're at right now, which is needing to lose weight. So this is a case where needing to lose weight and wanting to lose weight but not losing weight is seemingly easier than going all in with weight loss and the potential judgment that would come if they supposedly, quote, fail. It all sounds very dramatic, doesn't it? The brain can really give us some thoughts that feel like they're not able to be overcome. And this is where the subtle work of selling yourself on weight loss is really going to help you. So you kind of want to unpack these thoughts that block you. You can challenge those thoughts. For example, on this question of fear of failure, well, what if I fail? What if it doesn't work again? I want you to challenge it by asking yourself some questions. Is it true that it will be terrible if I don't meet my goal? Well, the truth is, I'm not meeting my goal right now. I'm just not telling anybody that I really want to get to my goal weight. But I know I'm not at my goal weight, and I'm not really doing all the things I know I need to do to get there. So I'm already living the failure that I'm hoping to avoid. So you're kind of lying to yourself, right? But it just feels acceptable because it's so familiar to you. So what do you really have to lose? What would happen if, here's your second prompt, what it would happen if instead of just worrying about this vague impending failure, which I'm not even really sure what that would actually mean. I mean, would all your friends and family get together in a conference and pass judgment and like give you a weight loss credit, like a report card that had a big fat F on it and make you wear a silly hat on your head that says weight loss failure? What are we talking about here? It's all vaguely like sinister, but really specifically about nothing. So, what if you came up with an actual plan? For example, failure might come with, if you got really tactical about it, okay, getting on the scale in a week where you thought you expected a loss, but it never happened. Maybe you just would maintain, or maybe you would even gain. Now, the thought this is a failure might feel true, but is it? Because when we look at women who lose weight, the weigh ins, the data points always are like jumping up and down, up and down. So there's a little gain, then there's a loss, and a little gain and a loss. So everyone loses weight in a non linear fashion. It goes up and down, but the trend over time goes down. And that's where we see sustainable weight loss happening. So it's like redefining what it means to lose weight, which means sometimes I'll weigh in and I might be up a little bit, but the downtrend on average outpaces the uptrends. So I never look to one particular weigh in as a way of accepting that I'm failing with weight loss. For me, as a coach, the only time you would definitively fail at weight loss is if you gave up on your dream. That's failing. That's opting out. That's walking away. That's the only time you fail. So, okay, the first objection that you need to sell yourself on is the value of getting in there and going all in, even if you're afraid of what might happen, even if you don't have assurances that you're going to get there. No one who loses weight was ever assured of an outcome. And we went over this on the last podcast. So it's like just being willing to do it anyway. Okay. So another objection that you would need to overcome to sell yourself on weight loss is objections about the past performance with your weight or weight loss attempts that get in the way of your going all in this time. when you believe that you failed in the past, you won't really go all in to try it again. So, what is our access point here? Because the truth is, for most of us listening to this podcast, including myself, most everybody, they've all tried to lose weight and it's not really worked. When you look at from the beginning until the time when you said, I'm not going to do this program anymore, the vast majority of people we know will say it didn't work. But what if the reason why it didn't work was because you were playing, let's call a diet program, a restrictive diet program, a game? Okay, for the metaphor, what if you were invested in playing a game that was designed for you to lose, to fail at? Because this is what restrictive diet programs do. They give you good foods to eat and bad foods to eat. And they tell you you can't have the foods that you actually want to eat. And then they tell you, all you have to do is eat the foods you really like. You might like some of them, fine. But whatever you do, don't eat the bad foods. And while you're at it, we're going to have you restricting the amount of the so-called good foods that you get to eat, the virtuous foods, so much that you're hungry all the time. And you might be able to do that for a while life is kind of chugging along and everything is kind of working in your life the way it should. But all you have to do is hit a terrible day at work, get into a car accident, get into a fight with a friend, have a really terrible day with your kid, something upsetting, or you don't have the correct foods in your refrigerator and you're starving. I mean, it sets you up to fail. They never tell you what to do when life gets real and it gets messy. And so that game, be perfect all the time, teaches us, we take on, the aspects of those games and we apply them to all weight loss in general. And the truth is, the way that we teach weight loss is that we listen to our bodies. We don't listen to a program. Like, we do have a program, but the program is teaching you how to listen to your body. It's not about buying shakes, counting points, counting macros, counting calories. We're not doing any of that. You're buying into a community that can help you tap back into, your essential nature as somebody who has all the equipment that they need to lose weight, which is to trust their body, trust their appetite cues, listen to their appetite cues, and develop a sense of self-talk that supports you through challenging moments that are inevitable when we change our habits around food. Okay, so let's go back to objections on the past. If you're not all in with losing weight because you're telling yourself a story that you failed before, look at the programs that you used to justify your opting out because you failed. If they were restrictive diet programs, then you were destined to fail because you were playing a losing game. That's how they keep you blaming yourself and coming back and, needing them, like believing that you need them and that you should not listen to your own wisdom, that you should bypass physical hunger and be fucking hungry all the time and eat bullshit virtuous foods all the time. And that you should, shame yourself for wanting a goddamn cookie. It's ridiculous. So you have to really tell yourself the truth, which is that I so-called failed diets before because there was no way that I could be successful on them. So what would happen if I just started learning how to intuitively eat according to my appetite cues. And I just started unlearning my habits, my restrictive habits around food. Could I be successful then? And if the answer is yes, then you're selling yourself on weight loss. This kind of argument where you kind of bring yourself through it. Wait, this is why it wasn't successful. Okay. If I did something different, could I be successful? Yes. Okay. I'm sold. You might have to tell yourself that every single day when you get started to remember that, like, hey, making a plan for exactly what you want to eat that day and then committing to only eating it when that food when you're hungry and stopping before you're full, that's not a bullshit diet plan. That's called decisions ahead of time and learning how to show up for decisions that you really like your reasons for. Okay. All right. So once you've convinced yourself why you didn't actually fail, you were just playing a failing game, then in order to move you forward with the weight loss and going all in, you're going to need to build a vivid and compelling connection to future you. So that means you've got to start extrapolating this idea that your self image, your self identity is somebody who's failed at weight loss. We need to pull that part out. If you were playing a rigged game that you were destined to fail, then it's just not true that you fail at weight loss. So start pulling that out of your idea of who you are. You are just somebody who played a game that you thought you could win. And it turns out you were wrong. But now you've got a structure and a program that will really help you. So maybe your sense of who you are with this actually hasn't even been discovered yet. Okay. Next, you're going to want to sell yourself on weight loss by recognizing that what you're trying to do with weight loss this time, that it makes sense. It makes sense. You have to be willing, even if you can't see it or feel it, or even know how to do it in this moment, but that it's in some way, you've got to agree that human beings come equipped with hunger cues and satiety, meaning satisfaction cues that work and that are designed to help us naturally regulate our weight. Okay. If you really believe that you need to have a restrictive program, then this probably isn't going to work for you. And look, it's like intuitive eating is not for everybody. You may have to come around to it. Try the others. See how well you do with them. If you can do well with them, I think you should. But for the vast majority of women that I work with, we've tried that. We've been there. We've done that. We're never doing that again. It just doesn't work. So you have to sell yourself on how learning how to eat according to your appetite cues is where you really want to be long term, forever and ever. Amen. I want to just bring my stomach with me wherever I go. So I know when and how much to eat. And then the question of what I choose to eat is really up to inner me and how that food makes me feel. You know, that might mean that you just love your Southern food for the rest of your life. If you're like a health nut and you get off on like tons of vegetables and like, you know, some of those traditionally virtuous foods and they make you feel amazing, do it. The bottom line is that we all have agency and sovereignty over our choices. We should never subvert those to somebody or some program who thinks they know better than you. I don't know about you, but I feel like I just don't like anybody telling me what to do. I want to figure out what I want to do. And if that's for you, then this is something that should make sense. And that's how you can sell yourself on weight loss. Okay. Don't call this a diet. It's a lifestyle that you can embrace for the rest of your life. It's just going to involve, unlearning some old habits and learning some new habits around food, and being willing to see yourself in a new way as a new kind of eater, one who is intrinsically motivated. Okay. The other thing that may or may not apply to you is how you've got to sell yourself on how other people don't get in the way of your success with weight loss. A lot of times I hear objections. My husband, he eats so bad. He's always bringing me food that's terrible for me that I can't say no to. Or he always wants to eat at a certain time and I'm never hungry. Okay. We're never, at the effect of other people. You can learn how to eat intuitively according to your appetite cues and let other people do what they want to do with food. Yes, you may have a tradition of all eating together, and you might really want to keep that. And so you're going to have to learn how to meet dinner time with physical hunger. You're probably going to spend many days not coming to the table hungry. And then you're going to try a lot of shit to try to figure out how to change that. And that is the process that will change you into the new person who can release weight and be successful, even with your family dynamic, your spouse dynamic, your boyfriend dynamic, your friend dynamic. Okay. Other people in our lives have influence over us, yes, but we have the control. We always retain the control over what goes in our mouths. And as long as you think that other people control your choices around food, you're going to be split in going all in on your weight loss. You're going to have to extrapolate yourself from that belief if you want to go all in and you want to feel like you're in charge, that you're not the victim of other people and what they want from you or how you need to show up to make other people happy. That's your work. Okay. Time. If you feel as though this is going to take a lot of time, it's going to be hard to sell yourself on weight loss. This one is always puzzling to me. Sometimes inside the membership, we hear like, oh, all of this takes so much time. No, it doesn't. It doesn't take time to check in with your physical stomach and ask yourself if you're physically hungry. And it takes no time to check in before you keep eating your dinner to see if you are full. None of that takes extra time. In fact, if anything, it kind of saves you time. So that's kind of like a false objection about time. Does learning new habits around food take attention? Yes. Does it take focus? Yes. Will it waste your time or eat up big chunks of time? No. So those are subtleties and those are really different. And the truth is, you're probably focusing a lot of your time and effort thinking about wanting to lose weight. And if you just kind of gave that up and started focusing on how can I eat a little bit less today than I've used to been eating, that kind of focus will actually start to get you results. So you can look at that a little bit differently. Okay. Speed. Let's talk about like speed of results. So a lot of times my clients will say, I got on the scale. I didn't see the results I wanted. And my mind immediately went to, all right, let's cut out all the carbs and we will skip breakfast today and we'll eat very little today. It's very normal. We've been conditioned for so many years to just go right back to thinking that like restrictive diet mentality will help us because the brain remembers when you did that, when you did things like that, you went on a crash diet, you did HCG, you did like extremely restrictive diets, that, yeah, you got results right away. But then your mind kind of like trails off and never closes that thought with the true result of that, which is that it was unsustainable. No one can continually skip meals and eat very little and walk around with overt physical hunger all the time. No one can do that. And so we tend to just tell the shiny part of that story, which is the part up front, which is, oh my gosh, I lost 2 pounds in one day. And then another day, another 2 pounds. Well, what about the part where, oh, all those results started slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. I was crazy and rabidly hungry all the time. I was horrible to be around. I was berating myself in my head. I was white knuckling every moment of my life. And I was fucking miserable. Somehow the brain just never really goes there and says the whole story. So don't allow your brain to tell you half truths about what works. So when we're talking about speed of results, I want you to think about the story of the turtle and the hare. Crash diets, restrictive diets are like the hare. They'll take off real quick and flood you with false feelings like this is working. But it can't, they never finish the race ever. They never finish the race. It's the turtle that does it. And yeah, intuitive weight loss probably, mostly takes a bit longer because we're not eating like an asshole. We are eating when we're hungry. We don't allow overt weight loss. So, anywhere between a half a pound and up to about 1.5 pounds per week is probably typical. There's some that obviously like are less or more than that. But just imagine how those results, those kind of more subtler results add up when you don't gain. See, when you crash diet, you lose a bunch of weight. And then what usually happens is you gain all that weight back plus some. When you learn how to intuitively eat, the gains that you might experience are usually don't last very long, or they're requiring you to dig deeper with your objections to going further. And so that's a job for like your mindset work. And that's where coaching and a program can really help you. Okay. So the last part is community. And I think for a lot of us, many of us, we know that being part of a community as we go through the nuances of learning new habits around food, learning how to trust our body, learning how to notice when you're hungry and stop before you're full. Like it's new and it's different and we get it wrong. And we need people for sure. We need people. When we're doing something new, being with a group of people always helps. And this is why, like, listen, there's always people who can bootstrap their way through and do it themselves, but it usually takes a bit longer. And that's why, like, you can just listen to this podcast and lose all your weight. Of course you can. You don't even need me. You can take these tools I've given you, take them back and practice them and lose all your weight and never listen to another one of my podcasts again. And you know what? If that's what you want, I hope you do. But one way to really enjoy the process is to feel connected to other people as you go through it. So you feel less alone. And this is one of the reasons why I really wanted to, work for the No BS weight loss membership, because it was finally a group of like-minded women that I missed from my journey. Like back in, when was it? 2012, when I was really struggling with my weight gain and I didn't know where to turn. It was nothing but restrictive diets everywhere. I didn't even know about intuitive eating. I'm sure it was around, but it wasn't something that I was even aware of. And believe me, I was in it, looking for answers, looking for community. So If you want community and you know you do better with accountability group for you or a partner, see if you can find one in your own life, someone who will go through this journey with you and cheer you on the days when you don't have a lot of gas in the tank to do it for yourself. That can make all the difference. If you want to have it easy and come with your membership, then join No BS. The membership's right there. I think it's joinnobs.com and join. I don't get anything from referring anybody to, the company that I work for. I just am so passionate about what I do. And part of our mission is to help as many women who want to lose weight and feel amazing in the process. And one way to do that is to, connect with other women just like you. So, okay, let's pivot real quick. Here's your coach homework. I want you to write on your journal the reasons why you don't want to lose weight. So to access this information, and it is there. If you have been wanting to lose weight, but you've not been able to, or you kind of go up and down with the same bunch of pounds, or you've been trying to lose weight for years, there are reasons why your desire is split between two opposing wants. So addressing your objections to losing weight is really going to be very helpful for you. This is the part that nobody talks about. So I'm going to share with you what mine are, just so you know you're not a freak when you see what your brain comes up with. So when you're ready for this, I want you to get in a really quiet place where you have privacy. And I want you to write this down. Actually, I do not really want to lose weight because I want you to put a colon in there and then number your sheet of paper. And I want, before you start writing, I want you to tap into your inner self. Talk to her. Like, let her have a voice. There's no judgment. She's not in trouble for telling you why she doesn't want to lose weight. You just want to know, and you're going to help her feel better and feel safe losing weight. Okay. So I had 15 that I came up with. All right. I'm going to read them to you. Ready? I do not really want to lose weight because I want to eat. I want the option to eat as a strategy when things get terrible. I don't want to come off as a perfectionist, like all those other skinny people. I mean, it's kind of funny, not funny to read these. I want to be relatable to other members that I coach. Like the implication is, how will they relate to me if I'm at my goal weight? Interesting, right? My dysfunction is part of me. I don't want to be on the outside looking in. It's familiar to be striving. I don't want people to think I don't understand them. What do I do if I have everything I want? Isn't that interesting? I don't know how to be happy or content without needing to fix myself. What is life like where I want for nothing? Attention to my body from other people freaks me out. I don't want other people to project their shit on me because they see I handled my weight. I envy other women my age for having an ideal weight, so I fear I would judge myself and others would judge me if I reached my ideal weight. I am judging myself for being so focused on my appearance. Okay. So these are totally normal, every one of them. They're about fear of what if, fear of not feeling safe, fear of what other people will think, and fear of how to figure out life without needing to lose weight. For so many of us, it's been a way of life, and we just don't know what comes after it. But that's where our work is. Do you see how all of these objections are really begging me, and I did this, to go through each one and tell the new and true story. So let me just give you an example of how I want you to address each of your objections. So my number one was, I don't really want to lose weight because I want to eat. You see, like inner me is worried, like I won't be able to eat. And that's diet trauma. Because before, when I bullshit dieted, I didn't eat. I fucking starved myself. And of course, it makes sense. Like my inner person is really worried that's going to happen again. This is like overcoming little t trauma for me. So my work is to make sure that I tell myself when I plan, like I get to eat when I'm physically hungry. I just got to wait until I feel those signals and then we can eat. So I'm not taking food away. I'm just not going to eat at the first thought to eat without also noticing physical hunger. Okay. So you see how you litigate your objection. You just gently probe, you tell the whole story, you give yourself lots of reassurance, and you just like give yourself grace for having a human mind, one that is just really scared of outcomes that it's not sure about too. Okay. So work on this. Visit me at Thrive in Midlife on Instagram and tell me your one takeaway from this call about selling yourself on weight loss. Overcoming your objections. Which one resonated for you? And from your homework too, you can feel free to share with me what one of your particular objections was. And if you have a question about how to overcome it, let me know and I'll reply to you there and we can keep the conversation going. Okay. So stay focused. This week, you're going to sell yourself on weight loss. I can't wait to see what happens for you. Thank you for joining me. Stay focused. So long. Hey, if this episode resonated for you, then let's connect. Visit hbeardsley.com/subscribe. That's HBEARDSLEY.com/subscribe and get on the list. You'll get a free gift, periodic coaching, plus advance notice of in-person events and workshops.